Is she prettier than me? The words hung in the air like smoke, stunning both of them into silence. Ryan couldn't believe what he'd just heard from Alexis Morgan, the formidable CEO who'd never shown a hint of personal interest in him before. If you've ever wondered if workplace chemistry can overcome professional boundaries, this story might just make you believe in second chances. Like and subscribe for more heartfelt stories that remind us how love can appear when we least expect it. Ryan Cooper never imagined raising his 7-year-old daughter Lily alone. His world shattered 4 years ago when his wife Melissa's car was hit by a drunk driver, leaving him a widower at 32. The first year passed in a fog of grief, functioning only because Lily needed him. He'd eventually found a lifeline at Pinnacle Innovations, where his talent for software development helped him rebuild some semblance of stability. Alexis Morgan had built Pinnacle from nothing into a tech powerhouse. At 40, she was renowned in Silicon Valley for her brilliant strategic mind and uncompromising standards. Employees admired her vision but whispered about her icy demeanor. She rarely smiled, never socialized with staff, and expected nothing short of excellence. Ryan was one of the few who seemed unfazed by her intensity, which had earned him both respect and additional responsibilities. The San Francisco office hummed with activity as Ryan worked late, trying to fix a critical bug before tomorrow's client demo. His phone buzzed with a text from his neighbor Mrs. Hernandez, who watched Lily after school. "Don't worry about rushing home. Lily's having dinner with us. Take your time." Ryan sighed with relief. The Hernandezes had become like family, stepping in countless times when work demanded extra hours. He was typing a grateful reply when Alexis appeared in his doorway. "Cooper, where are we with the Meridian platform fix?" Her voice was crisp, professional as always. Ryan looked up, momentarily distracted by how the evening light softened her usually severe appearance. "Almost there. I've isolated the issue and should have it resolved within the hour." Alexis nodded, but instead of leaving, she stepped into his office and closed the door, something she'd never done before. "The client presentation is at 9 tomorrow. I need you there." "I'll be there," Ryan assured her, "but I'll have to leave by 11. Lily has her school play tomorrow afternoon." Something flickered across Alexis's face, annoyance, perhaps, or disappointment. This client represents a potential 8-figure contract. Surely someone else can record your daughter's performance? Ryan felt a familiar tension rise in his chest. This wasn't the first time his parenting responsibilities had clashed with work expectations. "I've missed 2 of her events this month already. I promised her I'd be there this time." "Promises to clients should take precedence," Alexis said, her tone cooling. "Not over promises to my daughter," Ryan replied quietly but firmly. Alexis studied him for a long moment. "Your dedication to Lily is admirable, but sometimes I wonder if you're using her as an excuse to avoid fully committing to your career." The accusation stung. "That's not fair. I put in 60-hour weeks regularly. I take calls on weekends. I've delivered every project on time. And yet you're always the first to leave when we have after-hours events," Alexis pointed out. "The team went for drinks last Friday to celebrate the Westlake launch. You declined." Ryan ran a hand through his dark hair, frustration building. "Because I had plans." "Work plans?" "Personal plans," he clarified reluctantly. Alexis raised an eyebrow. "Care to elaborate?" Ryan hesitated. He rarely discussed his personal life at work, especially with Alexis. But something in her persistent questioning made him answer honestly. "I had a date." Alexis went very still. "A date," she repeated, her voice suddenly different. "With whom?" The question seemed oddly intrusive coming from his CEO. Lily's piano teacher, actually. We've been talking after lessons, and she suggested coffee. I see. Alexis's expression became unreadable. And how did it go? Ryan frowned, increasingly confused by this line of questioning. Fine, I guess. We're going out again this Saturday. This Saturday? Alexis's response came too quickly. But the Meridian launch party is Saturday evening. The entire executive team will be there. Which is why I told you last week I couldn't attend, Ryan reminded her. I submitted the request for personal time. I didn't realize it was for a date, Alexis said, an edge to her voice. Ryan studied her, suddenly seeing something he'd never noticed before. The slight flush on her cheeks. The way she couldn't quite meet his eyes. The unusual interest in his personal plans. Alexis, he said carefully, using her first name perhaps for the first time, why does it matter who I'm dating? Her eyes snapped to his, widening slightly. For a moment, her carefully constructed professional mask slipped, revealing something vulnerable underneath. Is she prettier than me? The words seemed to escape before she could stop them. The question hung between them, shocking them both into silence. Ryan couldn't believe what he'd just heard from the woman who'd never shown a hint of personal interest in him before. Alexis looked mortified. I didn't, that was completely inappropriate. Please forget I said anything. She turned abruptly toward the door. Alexis, wait, Ryan called, but she was already gone, the door closing firmly behind her. Ryan sat back in his chair, his mind reeling. Had Alexis Morgan, the untouchable CEO of Pinnacle Innovations, just revealed she was jealous of his date? It seemed impossible. They'd worked together for 3 years with nothing but professional interactions. She'd never given any indication she saw him as anything other than a valuable employee. Or had she? Ryan found himself reviewing their interactions with new perspective. The way she always seemed to find reasons to check on his projects personally. How she'd approved his flexible schedule without question when others had to fight for similar arrangements. The coffee that occasionally appeared on his desk, always exactly how he liked it, though he'd never told her his preference. The next morning, Ryan arrived early, hoping to speak with Alexis before the client meeting. Her assistant informed him she was already in the conference room preparing. When he entered, she was alone, reviewing slides with such intense focus she didn't notice him immediately. Good morning, he said quietly. Alexis looked up, her professional mask firmly back in place. Ryan. Good, you're early. I want to review the demonstration sequence. No acknowledgement of yesterday's conversation. No hint of the vulnerability she'd shown. Ryan decided to follow her lead, for now. The client meeting went flawlessly. Ryan's fix worked perfectly, and by 10:30, they had a verbal commitment for the contract. As the clients left, Alexis turned to the team with rare praise. Excellent work, everyone. Especially you, Ryan. Your solution was elegant and effective. Thank you, he replied, gathering his things. If there's nothing else, I should head out for Lily's play. Alexis nodded. Of course. Give Lily my congratulations. Ryan paused, surprised. You remember it's her play today? You mentioned it yesterday, Alexis said, as if it were perfectly normal for her to recall such details about employees' children. Right, Ryan said, studying her with new curiosity. I did. As he turned to leave, Alexis spoke again. Ryan, about yesterday. We don't have to talk about it, he offered, seeing her discomfort. No, I need to apologize. My question was completely unprofessional and inappropriate. It won't happen again. Ryan took a chance. What if I wanted it to happen again? Alexis looked genuinely startled. What? What if I've been noticing you too? Ryan said quietly, making sure no one else could hear. What if I've just been too focused on being a good father and a good employee to consider the possibility? Color rose in Alexis's cheeks. This is a conversation we shouldn't have in the office. You're right, Ryan agreed. Maybe we could continue it somewhere else? Dinner, perhaps? You have a date on Saturday, Alexis reminded him, her tone carefully neutral. I do, Ryan acknowledged. But I could cancel it. Alexis shook her head. I would never ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm offering. Ryan surprised himself with his boldness. Unless I've completely misread the situation? Alexis glanced around to ensure they were still alone. You haven't, she admitted quietly. But there are complications. I'm your boss. There are company policies. Policies that you wrote, Ryan pointed out with a small smile. Which makes it even more important that I follow them. Alexis sighed. Besides, you have Lily to consider. Dating someone with my schedule and responsibilities wouldn't be easy. I think that should be my decision to make, Ryan said. And for what it's worth, Lily already thinks you're amazing. She still talks about the time you let her test the VR headset prototype when she visited the office. A genuine smile touched Alexis's lips at the memory. She's a remarkable child. She takes after her mother that way, Ryan said softly, the familiar ache of loss present but no longer overwhelming. Alexis checked her watch. You should go. You'll be late for her play. Ryan nodded, but hesitated before leaving. Think about dinner. Not as my boss. Just as Alexis. As he drove to Lily's school, Ryan's mind raced with possibilities he'd never considered before. Alexis Morgan had always seemed to exist in a different world, one of boardrooms and business class, not school plays and macaroni art. Yet yesterday had revealed a glimpse of someone else behind the polished exterior, someone who noticed him, who perhaps had been noticing him for longer than he realized. Lily's play was a charming, if slightly chaotic, production of The Wizard of Oz. His daughter beamed with pride in her role as the Tin Man, and Ryan recorded every moment, his heart full. As the children took their bows, his phone buzzed with a text. Unknown number, to answer your question about dinner. Yes. But only if you're certain. Ryan smiled, somehow knowing exactly who it was from. Ryan, I am. And for the record, no one compares to you. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then reappeared before her reply came through. Alexis, flattery will get you nowhere, Cooper. Ryan, seems like it already has. That Saturday, Ryan called Lily's piano teacher with an apology and a rain check. Instead, he found himself standing outside a small Italian restaurant in Sausalito, far from their usual professional territory. When Alexis arrived, he barely recognized her. Gone was the power suit and severe hairstyle, replaced by a simple dress and loose waves that softened her features. You look beautiful, he said honestly. You sound surprised, she replied with a hint of amusement. Not surprised. Just appreciating seeing a different side of you. Dinner revealed more sides he'd never glimpsed before, her dry sense of humor, her passion for classical music, her surprising knowledge of superhero movies that she attributed to nieces and nephews but betrayed a genuine enthusiasm for. Why me? Ryan asked as they walked along the waterfront afterward. You could have anyone. Alexis considered the question seriously. Because you've never been intimidated by me. You stand your ground. You're brilliant at what you do, but you don't let it define you. She paused. And because I've watched how you are with Lily. How you've rebuilt your life around her needs without resentment. It hasn't always been easy, Ryan admitted. There were dark days after Melissa died when I wasn't sure how we'd make it. But you did, Alexis said softly. That kind of strength is rare. Ryan took her hand, a simple gesture that somehow felt momentous. This won't be simple. There will be talk at the office. Let them talk, Alexis said with unexpected lightness. I've spent my entire career worrying about perceptions. Maybe it's time I worried more about happiness. 6 months later, Ryan sat in his new office, larger now that he'd been promoted to development director, a move that conveniently resolved the direct reporting conflict with Alexis. The transition hadn't been without challenges. Some colleagues whispered about favoritism, while others were simply shocked to discover their Ice Queen CEO was capable of genuine emotion. But the biggest challenge had been integrating Alexis into Lily's life. They'd moved carefully, with Alexis first appearing as Daddy's friend from work for occasional dinners or weekend outings. Lily had been cautious initially, protective of her special relationship with her father. But Alexis had approached her with the same thoughtful strategy she applied to business problems, observing, listening, and finding genuine connections rather than forcing them. The breakthrough came unexpectedly during a power outage. Stuck at Ryan's house without electricity, Alexis had suggested building a fort in the living room and telling stories by flashlight. By the end of the evening, Lily had fallen asleep against Alexis's shoulder, a silent vote of trust that had brought tears to Ryan's eyes. A knock at his office door pulled Ryan from his thoughts. Alexis stood there, professional as always at work, though her colleagues had noted a new warmth to her leadership style. Ready for the budget meeting? She asked. Almost, Ryan replied. Just finishing these projections. Alexis closed the door and her professional demeanor softened slightly. Lily's teacher called. She got the solo in the winter concert. Ryan grinned. She'll be thrilled. She's been practicing that piece for weeks. I've blocked the evening on my calendar already, Alexis said, the simple statement revealing how much had changed. The woman who once questioned his commitment for attending school plays now rearranged board meetings for a child's concert. Have I told you lately that I love you? Ryan asked quietly. Alexis smiled, the private smile reserved only for him and Lily. Not since this morning. But I never tire of hearing it. As they walked to the meeting together, maintaining a professional distance that fooled no one, Ryan marveled at how a single jealous question had changed everything. Life rarely followed a predictable path, he'd learned that painfully when Melissa died. But sometimes the unexpected turns led to places more beautiful than we could have imagined. That evening, as he watched Alexis helping Lily with her math homework at the kitchen table, both of them focused intently on the problem at hand, Ryan felt a completeness he'd once thought impossible to find again. They weren't a conventional family, but they were finding their way together, creating something new and precious from the broken pieces of what came before. Sometimes the most important questions in life are the ones we never meant to ask. For Ryan and Alexis, it had been a moment of unguarded jealousy that opened the door to possibility. For you, it might be something entirely different. But the lesson remains the same: have the courage to be honest, to be vulnerable, and to follow your heart where it leads. If this story touched you, please like and subscribe for more authentic tales of love, loss, and second chances. Remember that happiness often finds us in the most unexpected moments, sometimes even in a question we never meant to ask.